Hey, it's Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Part 2 of my blog that I started last week. I had told you that I had just bought another investment property for my portfolio for my Vancouver properties. And I bought this unit 2 weeks ago from the developer, taking possession of it in February of 2016. So, part 2 here. This, for the very first time buying real estate, I bought this unit. I paid $368,000 for the unit, and it does not come with a parking spot. So this is the first time I've ever bought a unit that didn't come with a dedicated parking spot. Now, I had an opportunity to buy a unit about 5 years ago. It checked every box for me in Cole Harbour, and it didn't come with a parking spot. And I decided to back away from it at that time. This was 5 years ago. I just didn't think the time was right, and that Cole Harbour neighborhood, I just didn't think it was gonna fit without having a parking spot. So this time I bought it without parking, and here's why I did it. First off, this neighborhood, I talked about it last week. This is the Mount Pleasant area, so this area is on the peripherals of where the Olympic Village is. Now, if you haven't been to the Olympic Village for a while, you should go down there. It has changed drastically in the last 2 years. They've now got all kinds of brew pubs in there and bars and restaurants. They've got a London Drug, an Urban Fare, several banks. It is turning into a very nice community in there now, and it's just in the middle innings, I think. I think in another 5 to 10 years, that neighborhood is going to be one of the premier neighborhoods in Vancouver. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I've been wanting to get into that neighborhood now for the last couple of years. Finally, I got a boutique building at the right price, on the right location, the right size of building that checked all my boxes, and I bought it, but it didn't come with a parking spot. So first off, this is a boutique building, 75 units, 12 stories high. It's right in that sweet spot that I like, not too big, not too small. Now, I bought it without parking, and here's why. I think now that I've noticed that from a lot of my other properties that I've got in the downtown area lately, in the last few years, I'm starting to see a trend with the tenants that are applying that don't have a parking spot, don't have a car. And it seems more and more now that people, younger professionals, you almost have to choose between a nice place living downtown or having a car. So I think a car now, if you add up all the insurance and the gas and the maintenance, it's probably anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 to a year to keep a decent car. So I'm starting to see people that are potential tenants in my units now that are saying, you know, it comes with a parking spot, but I don't have a car. Am I able to rent your spot to someone to get a little extra money? So it's a trend that I've started to see more and more. These people are living downtown, they're riding their bikes to work, they're car sharing, or they're taking the SkyTrain or walking to work if they live in the downtown core. So I thought the time was right now in this particular neighborhood in the south side of Falls Creek, Mount Pleasant area, that there's enough potential tenants in there that I want a brand new place and want a nicer place, but the only way they can afford it is by bypassing the car. So I think it's going to pay off. I think there's a lot of good quality tenants that don't want the parking space and they don't want to pay for it. So here's the other reasons too. This particular building, it's right on the Ontario Street bike path. So you're literally on a bike path. You're 2 minutes from the seawall bike path. So within 5 minutes you could ride your bike from your front door into the downtown core to your job. A number of other things. You're a 5-minute walk to the SkyTrain at Main and Terminal. So that's the Expo line, Millennium line, or Expo line, I think. I don't ride SkyTrain. And you're about an 8-minute walk straight down West 2nd to the Canada line to get out to the airport or take it into the downtown core as well. So you're a very short walk to both SkyTrain lines. The other thing is with this particular building and a lot of these new buildings now, they're part of a car share program. So they have 2 dedicated Zipcar parking spaces. And you know, there's a number of these car share programs out there. There's the Zipcar, there's the Car2Go, the smart cars. So this is becoming more and more prevalent. So there's 2 dedicated spots there for Zipcars, which I think is fantastic. So very easy to open up your iPhone, see where a car is located. You can drive it wherever you want to go, and then you can come back and park it right in front of your building here. Final things that I think, you know, you're walking distance to pretty much everything, and I think eventually Uber is going to get into Vancouver as well. For anybody that's traveled to New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or a lot of the major US cities and used Uber, you'll know that it's an absolutely fantastic service. And I would say if anyone's thinking about getting into the cab industry in Vancouver, talk them out of it, because I think Uber is going to be getting back into Vancouver here in the next year or two. It's an incredible service, and I think that's just the way things are going. You can open your iPhone, order an Uber car in 2 minutes, and for $3 you can be pretty much anywhere into the downtown core. So for those reasons, I think it's a bit of an experiment for me here, but I think I'm going to do fine by having a nice brand new one bedroom without parking. Instead of charging $1,950 or $2,000 a month for this unit, I'm going to charge $1,795. So it's going to put me in a little bit better position as far as rent goes, and I think there's a lot of well-qualified, good quality young professionals that want a nice new unit but don't have a car and don't want to pay for a parking spot. So time will tell. I'll give you guys an update on this sometime next year. I'll let you know how it went. But for me, $368,000, it's going to put me in a nice cap rate there to rent it out and maximize my cap rate. I can tell you, to get a parking spot in this building, there are parking, you're looking at $45,000 for the parking spot. So with me, you know, and I think parking is great because your parking spot increases in value just like your condo will. $45,000 for a parking spot, I think a lot of people will say that sounds crazy, it sounds expensive, but I can almost guarantee 15 years from now, parking spots in this area will probably be going for $70,000 or $80,000. I know in Manhattan, in New York, in Soho and Tribeca, a typical parking spot is well over $500,000. I know people are going to say that's nuts, but it's the way of the world. And Vancouver now, a lot of these new developments now that are going up, you don't have a parking spot for every unit. Vancouver wants to encourage more ride sharing, car sharing, biking to work, walking to work, and SkyTrain and transit, bus to work. So they're creating a lot of these units where maybe 50% of the units will have parking and 50% don't. So it's the trend that's starting to be a lot more prevalent moving forward. Vancouver's becoming very dense, very built up, and not everyone's going to want a parking spot. You're almost going to have to choose between having a nice place downtown or having a car and commuting in. And the way I see it going now, most of these younger professionals, they're willing to give up the car in exchange for being in the downtown core. So that's where we're at. I'll give you guys an update on it next year. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.